Welcome, and thank you for joining Between Sessions with Justin and Chaley.
Just a quick disclaimer before we start. This podcast is for educational and conversational purposes only. It's not intended to replace therapy, counseling, or professional mental health care. We are sharing lived experiences and reflections, not prescriptions, and we encourage our listeners to seek professional guidance when needed.
Welcome back, everybody. Thank you for joining this week.
This week's episode is a how-to guide of how to tame your feral children once summer break has ended. Summer break is wrapping up. Kids are getting ready to go back to school. What do we do? Because these kids are feral.
So getting them back into a routine, calming them, calming us. Where do we even start?
Well, we need to start with setting expectations. However, we need to set realistic expectations.
Okay.
Yes.
So what comes to mind for me, and not being a parent, I can relate to when I was younger and maybe some unrealistic expectations were set. So it was really hard to live up to that. So then it kind of got to a point where I was like, well, screw it. I can't do what they want, so I'm just going to do whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So I love that you put the focus on realistic.
Can you remember some of the unrealistic expectations you had?
I think a little bit came in terms of like grades and then like behavior. I definitely was around like an environment of like speak when spoken to type of thing. I wasn't really able to ask why too much. So I had a lot of unknowns. So then not being able to ask why, I came up with the answers on my own, and many times they weren't right. It was also like very black and white, and life is a lot of gray area. So I can't think of any like super specific ones right now, but I know like kind of overarching, it was like coming up with the own answers because I didn't have a lot of the clear direction, but then coming up with the wrong answers, but still not knowing what the right one was or the right expectation was. It was just like well, you should know. Well, I don't.
Okay. All right.
So setting realistic expectations, being clear about
Yes.
those, communicating that clearly.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So
All right.
for you,
We got to get these kids back in the routine. It's going to be rough. Well, start early. Honestly, my advice for everyone is keep a routine through the summer, even if it looks different than the school routine. Like keeping that routine and structure is very beneficial. But if you did or don't, too late now. We got to get them back into a routine. So first thing everybody I feel like thinks of is bedtime.
Yeah.
Right? Because these kids are running wild. So yes, getting them back onto a bedtime. If your kids spend the entire summer where they're like up half the night and then sleeping until noon.
Oh, not even noon. I have some that are sleeping until 4. Like sleeping through appointments and waking up after 4:30. I was like, okay, we're gonna have some work to get you back ready.
Oh, that's wild. That's like a complete.
They might as well have been working third shift.
That's what it sounds like. Holy moly. Okay. All right.
So maybe not all as dramatic as that, but like it might be a really big swing for some people.
Yeah. So bedtime. Okay.
Yeah.
The best way to do it is to make it gradual.
Yeah.
If your kids are like just off the wall and they're going to, girl, no judgment. But if they're going to bed at like 2, we can't just all of a sudden day before school say, all right, we're in bed at 8. Yeah. No, it's not going to work.
No.
So I would start in August. I mean, it depends how much adjustments you have to do, but I would say like by mid-August, you should really be getting that routine ready. So gradually, right? So if your kids are, well, first of all, if your kids are just knocking out whenever they want, which was my kid at the beginning of summer, setting some type of like any bedtime
is a place to start.
Any bedtime is a place to start.
Also, there are studies that have shown that dramatic swings in it is actually like less helpful. So adjusting it by an hour to 2 hours is really your sweet spot to have those positive results and not wake up either exhausted or waking up throughout the night. So if it is where they're up much later, adjusting it in those baby steps, an hour, 2 hours, depending on how far we have to go in that, maybe 2 hours are the blocks that we have to do, but having it be gradual, there's a really big benefit in gradually working back to that rather than the sudden shift.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep. So set a bedtime, midnight. Okay. We're going to bed by midnight, guys. And then the next week, maybe bump it back to like 11. And then the next week, bump it back to 10. And make sure your kids know, like, this is what's going to be happening. Every week, we're going to set it back an hour until we get you back on that school time routine.
Yeah.
And also getting up in the morning. Going to bed is one thing, but like, you need to get them up in the morning.
Yeah.
Which
Might be painful.
it is. I'm lazy. I don't want to get these kids up. Like, if I don't have to be to work by 8, like, I don't want to be up. But to benefit everybody, we need to do it. So,
What's your thoughts on like the independent alarms, like having them set an alarm or an alarm clock or something like that? Do you think that's beneficial?
professionally, I think it's a lovely idea. It teaches independence. It can help them with a routine, with a schedule. Personally, I tried it and my kid didn't wake up and his alarm went off and kept going off and kept going off until everybody in the house had to get up to go. So there's always that. But maybe he was a little too young. We'll try again.
And because some of these kids are sound sleepers. Like, I've had parents talk about, like, don't they have a thing that shakes the bed to wake them up or just, like, flip them out of it? Like, some kids sleep really hard. So maybe that's not always an option. Yes. Might be ideal. Yeah. Build some independence. But it might be bearing that task of having to go in and get them up.
Yeah, and like my son's 8, so I don't have a teenager yet, although he thinks he is. But I make the joke that like a train could come billowing through our house and he would sleep through it because he sleeps through everything. That was my main concern when I brought the baby home, and our rooms are right next to each other. And I was worried that the baby screaming all night, every 2 hours or whatever, would wake him up. And I remember that first night I was like a zombie, and he got up and I'm like, "Are you doing okay? Did the baby wake up?" And he's like, "No. Did the baby sleep all night? I didn't hear her cry." And I'm like,
Didn't my dog sleep over and was under him and was barking?
yeah.
And he was unfazed?
Yes.
Yep.
Willow spent the night and he was up in his loft bed and she was on the ground barking, woke up the whole house again, except Richard, who was the closest. So yeah, I have to go in and wake him up and then check back every few minutes that he's actually up and out of bed.
Yeah.
But as they get older, definitely a good idea to have them have their own alarm clock and stuff.
Okay.
But
And maybe an alarm clock separate from the phone. That could be a plus too.
Yes. Yeah.
As adults, sometimes it's hard enough to even separate that, but like really to do that younger can be really beneficial. A separate alarm.
Yes. Yeah. My son has just a digital clock.
Okay.
Ooh. Speaking of separate from the phone, the other thing is a screen time, because during the school year, my son is very restricted on screen time when he's at my house. During the summer, not so much.
Mhm.
Like I try, guys, to get this kid outside. And he does. He loves to go outside and play.
With that garden, he really does.
Yeah, that's actually how I get him outside. Because I will say, "Can you go water my garden?" And you let any 8-year-old play with a hose, and they're just like, and then he stays out there for a while and he thinks he's like getting away with something, like running around the yard. Like, but
Getting away with some fresh air.
limiting screen time, just like sleep, just like bedtime and wake time is gradual. And again, like maintaining some screen time during the summer is helpful. But if you're already past that and they've had a free for all for the whole summer, it's going to suck. It's going to suck to take away that screen time. Yep. It's going to suck for both of you because like if my kid doesn't have his tablet, then he wants me to entertain him. And I'm like, I'm working during the day. So you need to find something that is not a screen to entertain you. And they can't do it. Like I used to go out in the yard and play with my imaginary friends. I'm like, yeah, so it's good for them if you
sitting in boredom.
Yep, be bored.
Finding creativity.
Be bored.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it drives me nuts when him and his friend are like, "We're bored," and I'm like,
you have enough to do. Do
chores. So yes, also that. So screen time is another big one.
Yeah.
A big one especially for my son, is getting back in the routine of lunchtime.
Ooh, I would have never thought of that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Because he just kind of snacks all day at home.
Mm-hmm.
But so getting them used to like, and this is actually good for kids who are starting kindergarten.
Yeah.
Is getting them used to like, okay, you have 30 minutes to eat your lunch. So kind of like getting back into that routine of like, okay, here's your lunch. You have to eat it in 30 minutes.
Because there's distractions. Friends, maybe we want to go do something else. Sometimes they split up lunch with like a recess type of thing. Like that can be tough. That time management piece of it. Okay.
Yep. So that's another big thing is, yeah,
Oh,
lunchtime. I didn't think of that either at first. And then, yeah, my son really struggled with that because he just is a grazer.
yeah.
So you have to get used to going back to, nope, you get there, you have your breakfast, and then you have a snack, and then you have lunch.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Those are my
Ooh,
three big ones is sleeping, screen time, lunchtime.
yeah. That makes sense.
Hmm.
So thinking about some ways that we can do that is kind of through communication, having those firm boundaries and those realistic expectations. Also, I think something that we might forget to do at times is that emotional check-in or that check-in with them of how they're doing with that transition and process, because they're going to be the best teacher in that sense of what's working for them and what's not. And sometimes you're going to have to fish through, but if there's a consistent theme of like something that's really not working, to continue to press and force that to happen might not work. So maybe the way that we're waking them up, the way that we're structuring the meal, the way that we're reducing that screen time, be kind of open to that feedback. And not saying that we have to do exactly what they say, but that could be some really valuable information.
And even just saying to them, like, yeah, I hear you, but this is why we have to do it that way. Just making sure that they are heard. But I love to emphasize, like, I get it. I'm a parent. I'm in charge. End of story. But kids have so little control
Hmm.
over their lives that I do try to give him whatever control I can without relinquishing that role as a parent.
And there's some ways you can do that even in like structured
Mhm.
control, giving options. And it's almost like a little bit of a mind trick of,
I'm sneaky. I'm
yeah.
sneaky with this stuff. Like, I
Ooh.
want my kid to brush his teeth, take a shower, and then go to bed, right? So I will ask him what he wants to do first. So, do you want to watch 30 minutes of TV and then do your teeth in your shower? Or do you want to do your teeth and shower first and then watch 30 minutes after? So then he's
Mm.
like, I'm in charge. Well, no, you're not because you're still doing what I want you to do.
But
So,
it gives some of that control and it wins in their mind. That's so cool.
mhm.
I know another point that some people do that is like within like outfits, like lay out like two options for clothing or let them go to the dresser, but like have specific clothes in there that fit them and that's appropriate type of thing and letting them pick out their outfit.
Well, not me. No,
No,
I just let my kid just
he's older too.
free ball it. Like, you pick out your outfit. Oh my God, did you see our pictures from Legoland? He packed a Halloween shirt.
I did
Like,
see that.
it's
That's it.
July. But he packed a Halloween. And honestly, sometimes, like I said, pack shorts. It is going to be hot AF. Like, pack shorts. And he was like, I don't want shorts. I don't want shorts. Fine. Natural consequences then. Don't wear shorts.
Sweat,
Whatever. Yep. And I mean, he was fine.
of course.
But, I was just like, probably should have worn shorts. I don't know. But yeah, no, I just let my kid just go for it. If it's like really great. Like one time he accidentally put on one of Delaney's shirts, his bestie, because like we have clothes for her at my house too. And one time he accidentally put on one of her shirts and I was like, that's not your shirt. It was like a school shirt, but it was all glittery. And he was like, I don't care. And I'm like, oh, just let me
Informed
know.
choices.
It's not your shirt. And Delaney's probably going to let everyone know it's her shirt. So you might want to just be ready for that. But for the most part, I just kind of let him do his thing.
Yeah. So giving control in the areas that they can have it. I do think that is so important because of that point that you made. There's such little that they have control over that it can feel really trapped,
Hmm.
especially the younger they are. So, like, him being a little bit older, having, a little bit more free reign, but especially really young kids really struggle with that. I'm sure as they get older, struggle because they want more independence and there's more closing in. So,
Yeah.
okay.
But especially like with the younger ish kids when they're going through that developmental phase where they want more control,
Hmm.
if they don't get it, like they'll find it. So
Right.
and that's where we see like eating disorders develop or self-harm sometimes develops. Also incontinence shows up. Like, because like if they have control over nothing, then they're going to take control over their body. And that's how that shows up. So a lot of times when we see those things, it is due
Mhm.
to a lack of control. So yeah, it's very beneficial that they do feel like they have control over
Mhm.
some of their life.
And that can be Like we said, that can be structured, and those informed choices, rather than where they tend to take control, can be more harmful in
Hmm.
that sense. Because again, they're limited by whatever their age is. There's only so much forward thinking they can do. They can't tell the future where we've lived that.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah. So just being cognizant of that. And then, there's certain things like if it's the middle of winter and he's like, I'm wearing a t-shirt and shorts, and he insists on wearing a t-shirt and shorts, I'm going to be like, no, you're not. Put something over it. So there's certain times where you can't give them that control. And also there's boundary testing that will come with that. So you do have to.
ooh,
Oh yeah, that's my kid.
okay.
He likes to test those
So
boundaries.
pushing, and that's where it's so important. And oh my goodness, the amount of times that I go over this with like parents and caretakers, and again, like, especially in my capacity, like I'm seeing a kid for 45 minutes or an hour. It's easier for me to be really consistent with boundaries, but the more that we let them get away with, the more that that boundary stretches, the more they're going to push because they know they got away with it before. So they think like if I do it for just a little bit longer, I'm gonna get what I want. And
That was something you struggled with as an intern,
huge.
was
Oh my goodness.
setting boundaries. Because I remember that
Oh,
was like a huge topic, was like, you can't just have a kid come in and do whatever they want. Like it can't be a free for all,
yeah.
because they might lack those boundaries at home. And yeah, you only see them for 45 minutes a week, but this might be the only 45 minutes where they are learning any type of boundaries. But it's hard. Like the kids come in and they're excited to see us and they want to do stuff. But sometimes you have to be very with these kids.
Yeah. And it's beneficial. They need that
Oh,
pushback.
totally. Mm-hmm.
So as much as it is hard and it's easier to give in and say yes, there is such a strength and it's going to work out better in the long run. It is going to save you so much hassle by being firm. Especially I hear this often with parents that have split time. Like they don't want to fight or argue or have that pushback or be that bad guy when they have such limited time as it is. But over time and in the long run, it's going to make that time so much better by putting in this challenging work now.
Yes, that was me. I was
Yeah,
like, I want to be the nice
of
one.
course. Okay. So, any other tips or tricks for taming these kids?
Please let us know how we can tame these feral kids.
Shout out to the teachers too. Is there
Oh,
anything? Well, shout out to you in general for being teachers, but like, is there anything that would be beneficial to like prep before coming back to school? Like, give us your insight. I would love
I
this.
love that. Okay, we're going to ask on TikTok too.
Ooh,
That's a good one for TikTok, is teachers out there. What can we as parents do to make your lives easier with these kids, these feral kids coming back to school in September?
yeah.
Let us know.
Thank you so much, guys.
Bye.